Andrew.
Yep.
Gym this morning. Saw you going hard at it.
Yeah.
What you training for?
Just trying to look visible sideways.
So you didn't get the draft letter?
Started a draft?
Yeah. So, I got mine in the mail. So.
Gaza.
Gorilla.
What number in the queue are you?
47.
Well, it's been nice knowing you. This is not going to be a solo podcast.
Listen, I feel like 100 men can take one gorilla.
If I had a week, it wouldn't be enough time to tell you how wrong you are.
Well, good thing we have 2 before the next episode.
You got it. All right, take 5. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Into the Deep podcast.
I'm Josh.
I'm Andrew. We can't do intros.
Oh, no. I just like to make fun at Andrew's expense. I say things to him sometimes.
It's not even at my expense. We just can't get Ashley canceled.
Who's going to cancel us, Andrew? There's like 100 people.
There's like 3 people that listen to this. Anyway.
No. Our website has had 40 new visitors.
Wow.
Since last month.
It's that Joe Boggs episode. Before we get into that, though, how you been?
Jinx. Anyways, guys, this was now the Josh Yonda podcast.
Absolutely not. I know I saw you on Saturday. We've done the intro 5 times. We've done the catch-up twice. But for the audience, what have you been up to?
Oh, no, I want to say this first. We both know that if I had a solo podcast, it would be just like InfoWars with Alex Jones.
100%.
But it would be ironic, because I don't actually believe anything that he holds, but I would do it just for the memes.
Yes, the clickbait would be down here.
Anyways, I've been good. Obviously, you came and helped me move a couch this last weekend. Megan, my girlfriend, her dad, was trying to get rid of a couch, and so he brought one. He had that couch strapped in.
That was an impressive feat of undoing it.
Well, I thought he was going to bring like an enclosed trailer. Because that would have made more sense in my mind.
Probably cheaper to get the open one. But anyway.
Well, yeah.
The important thing is
we moved to the couch.
In 10 minutes, which they were shocked by.
Yeah, I was and then we went to Culver's.
Yep.
So.
You got beaten pretty badly at a board game.
I got destroyed.
You got destroyed by...
I'm so mad about it, so.
Anyway.
Because, we cheated.
I did not cheat. I asked questions. I did not get help.
But here's the thing. Every time it came to her turn, he would tell her exactly what she needed to do
to screw you,
to screw me over,
but not just screw you over. She still won. It wasn't just screwing you over. She still won the game.
And he's like, so you, Josh, I helped her win. I was like, no, you didn't.
He helped her win so you could lose.
Yes. But anyways, Andrew's wife beat me in a board game. It was quite upsetting. It's fine.
Her first time playing that board game.
I played that board game 4 times and I've lost every time.
Anyway.
But I'm nothing if not a sucker for a good board game. So, yeah, other than that, life has been,
You moved in now?
Yeah, life is average. Well, I still got a couple more things. I want to get a boxing bag for the corner of the bedroom. I actually want to get a dresser. Yeah, do some morning cardio. Different things, but there's time. I'm going to be at this place for a full year.
Yep, so. You're out of the old place. That's what's important.
Yeah, and I've got my things moved in, so now it's unpacking and getting things in a livable state. But yeah, other than that, it's just been work. I got some time off this week. I'm going on some personal retreat days. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be flying down to Texas to spend some time with my folks and Megan's family in Texas.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Cool.
What about you, man? What you been up to?
Not a ton either. It's summertime, so parish life is always a little slower. Padre's been on vacation, so that also slows things down because we need him to approve things, all that jazz. We had vacation Bible school a few weeks ago. Anna came down and stayed with us, which was a fun time. We learned that our house is not nearly as entertaining as a phone. So
how unfortunate.
We're going to be prepared for the next time we have some of the kids stay with us. But that was a good time still.
With an iPad or
just some games that are more
kid friendly.
Kid friendly. we tried to set up my Steam deck up there, but it didn't really work. But anyways, outside of that, just putting out little fires here and there, getting events lined up for the summer. Summer events are very hard on the parish just because not everyone's there
Summer
on vacation.
ministry is one of those things where I think
you got to do the best with what you got.
You ramp down on the large scale stuff and you ramp up the very intentional discipleship focus. Like, let's have a more in-depth theological discussion rather than a broad generalization topic.
Yeah.
Because the people who are committed will be at the deeper stuff, and that's when you can really do good formation. Versus like during the year, it's like, oh, people are just like, oh, the church is holding this in, let's just kind of go.
Yeah, like we
can't get as deep.
Yeah, and also we're also trying to take advantage of like the nice weather. We got we're going to a Mud Hens game in a couple weeks, so but we had some issues with the bulletin. We had some date issues and stuff, but we're pushing through them. We're getting ready for OCA, so that'll be an interesting year. Making some changes, hopefully. We'll see how they go. But yeah, can't complain overall.
Yeah, no. Like we're excited for the students to come back.
Mm-hmm.
T-minus 3 weeks, which I'm going to be gone for 2 of them.
I don't have a free Saturday for like 5 weeks. Just cramming everything into the end of the summer.
Yeah, I think it's more so just like I'm gonna have most of my Saturdays free. We are going to be doing like some outreach on campus during some of the home games, which is going to be fun.
The yawning start. We should have taken a nap.
We've never done that before. We've never done, not the yawning, the outreach on campus on a game day, which I think will be interesting. Just had like a Friday night. There was a Lug Nuts game that was sponsored by the Knights of Columbus and the DOL.
Oh, nice!
And so got to go watch some baseball. I didn't really watch. I was taking laps around the stadium.
Got to get them steps in.
Got to get my steps in.
Nice.
Got my watch looking like I'm a Power Ranger.
And most importantly, 5 weeks till the NFL starts. And we got draft. We're doing a draft in 3 weeks for.
Oh, we are. Okay. So I didn't know what day it was.
It's gonna be that weekend at least.
Because I didn't get in I'm not in the group.
You should get that fixed. Talk to Johnny.
I don't have Johnny's number.
I will give you his number. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, super excited for fantasy football. Again, it's a fun time for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like I'm excited doing some new stuff with leader formation. Kind of really emphasizing some of the stuff I talked about in our latest blog post. That's dukeandaltamedium.org/thoughts-and-musings. dukeandaltamcatholic.org.
Yep.
dukeandaltamcatholic.org/thoughts-and-musings. dukeandaltamcatholic.org. Check us out on the Thoughts and Musings page where I posted a new blog on virtues versus values.
Which, great read, by the way.
I enjoyed writing it. It definitely was like probably
a day late,
$1 short, as I said in the Instagram post. But listen, it was good. It needed that time to cook. You got to let him cook.
A great Pepperbox exclusive show.
Pepperbox exclusive show that I will never get to watch.
If you don't watch it when we're here.
What if we watched it when I'm here last time?
Anyways, that's enough of the intro.
Yeah. So last time,
catch up. So last time we had Joe Boggs on.
Joe Boggs.
That was a great episode.
He's such a great, not average Joe.
Surely, a regular Joe of magnanimous proportion.
I wish we could have had the regular Joe podcast, but considering that was taken, that would have been a beautiful marketing.
You could have been the irregular Joes.
Write that down. I'm copywriting that. It's mine. When I branch off.
The irregular Joe, singular.
What? No. I'm going to get a second podcast host. I'm going to cheat on you. It's going to be Hayden.
Okay. But back to back to last episode.
I'm having more fun with this recording than the other one.
I know. Back to kind of like the
back to Joe.
So if you haven't go listen to that, don't go back. Wait until after you finish this episode.
You can't pause and come back.
We want the consistent runtime for the analytics and the algorithms. Play
this one video, and then have the other one on a separate screen.
Mm-hmm. But so it was a great interview with Joe. Hopefully we'll get some more guests on in the future. We have some ideas for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for some of those. But yeah,
someone just subscribed to our YouTube recently that we want to interview. His name rhymes with Brent Breccarino.
Brent, if you're listening to this,
I'll be reaching out to him soon because I would love to get his story.
But even within that, right? Like Joe is such like a good, solid guy, and it was great to have someone like that. Like, we're not an interview type of podcast. We're just two like goofball guys.
That's incredible goofballs
in your basements.
Yeah, although I do like the new setup. I think
we need a ring light.
It's a vibe. We definitely get a ring light.
I'm gonna get some string lights for you. We'll deck this out.
We're gonna okay. Anyway, we're not restarting.
It's too late. We're gonna deck it out.
Yeah, I do like this as a vibe though.
But yeah, no. So Joe was so good because he is really just like a solid guy.
Yeah, and his story especially, the thing that I resonated most with his story was listening to like these big life-changing events that he had, and he just kind of accepted them and ran with it. Like he wasn't afraid. Like there was a lot of things being thrust upon him that he could have easily just kind of shied away from. And rather than running away from them, he ran with them and allowed. I feel like this is a weird way. I think he allowed himself to be changed for the better with the things that were happening to him.
Well, there was that, and just like you hear now, like how much it has formed him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like going through, and it's not like he had like an intensely hard life. Like you think about it from this perspective. I was talking to somebody else. We live as Americans in the top 1% of the world.
Yeah, like even people who are in poverty, in poverty and squalor here live incredible. Like again, based on your perspective,
most of the world lives on less than $3 a day.
Yeah.
$3 a day is your average cost of a cup of coffee if you go and buy coffee. And so, like, you start to think about that, and you're like, oh, we live a very comfortable life. And I'm sure Joe, in some ways, had that growing up as well. Like, I don't think he, experienced some of the hardships that, like, other people do. But his particular struggles and how he responded to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was able to flip, like, even what would be minor struggles for some people, but for him was a bigger struggle.
Mm-hmm. And he's had an opportunity for growth.
Yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, I think there's something about, like, searching for greatness. Victor Mankel's
You read the book now.
Man's Search for Meaning. Mm-hmm. If you've never read it, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So if you've never read it, it's the diary of an Auschwitz survivor, Viktor Frankl, who was a psychotherapist. And he came up with a form of psychotherapy called logotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Logotherapy. So Viktor Frankl, right, he details this, and he titles the book Man's Search for Meaning. Because at the end of the day, we're all searching for meaning. And I would even go deeper in that man is searching for himself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you've experienced this, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've heard something about an attack on masculinity, the crisis of masculinity. Why aren't men being men anymore? I don't know how much you follow, like, YouTube.
I get the TikTok highlights.
But, like, I don't know if you follow, like, certain YouTube commentators like Brett Cooper or like Candace Owens or any of those kind of Daily Wire-esque sphere of people.
Again, I get the highlights from TikTok.
But, like, why aren't men being men anymore? It's like, well, you start to think about what men are told from about the age of 5.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's a dichotomy, really. On the one hand, there's an attack on masculinity. You can't be big, strong man. That's just that's an age-old traditional role. You shouldn't fill that like that's not who you're meant to be anymore. So there's an attack on that side. But on the flip side, also, men aren't allowed to cry. What are you going to do? Cry about it? Your feelings are getting hurt?
Well, that's what we're told by men.
Yeah.
Right? We're told by men, don't cry.
Yeah.
We're told by women, don't be a big, strong man. Here's what I think is interesting about the former of the, like, don't cry. You've heard of the ick phenomenon?
Gives me the ick.
Most women have labeled, like, women when they start to make their list of icks. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Have you seen the massive like the guy goes through like videos and like, oh, it gives me the ick. He has like a list of like 500 things that men aren't allowed to do anymore.
I have heard of at least like 5 or so women, and I'm sure there's a much larger, because of like, oh, men crying gives me the ick. So we're not allowed to be emotional,
but also we don't be in touch with our emotions.
But we need to be in touch with our emotions. We're also not allowed to like be big and strong. But the expectation is, and I heard this the other day, I want a conservative man with a liberal view of the world. I want a man who's going to take me out to dinner and work with his hands. But I want him to be soft and sensitive.
Yeah. And
how can I, like, and that's not to say you can't be both. I think there is an area, right?
Yeah, like, we're not saying that's an impossible thing, and there's merit to both. You want to be, like, I'm not saying...
But it's this whole idea of, like, you can't be big and strong, and then...
But you need to be big and strong.
But you need to be big and strong.
You can't be in touch with your emotions, you can't cry, but also I need someone who's in touch with emotions. Like, those, like, the conflicting of, like, the goals of being in touch with your emotions and being a big, strong man, not a problem. Like, that is a doable thing, but also society's telling us to not be those things.
Right, and so for men, and I think especially like young boys, they are searching for themselves. They're searching for an answer.
There needs to be an identity that they lack a direction in a lot of ways.
And I think that's why you have issues with like things like, oh, transgenderism.
I don't fit in. I don't know where to fit myself. Because society's not like, there used to be a blueprint, and I'm not saying that blueprint like back in the back in the day man was the perfect blueprint, but there was a blueprint at least. There's something you kind of followed, and now rather than saying, hey, let's fix the blueprint, we've just erased it in a lot of ways.
We've made humanity a genderless, sexless ape, and so with a genderless, sexless ape, you have people who don't know who they are, don't know who they want to be, and are left to aspire to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, we seek comfort, right? So I remember I was watching another podcast yesterday while I was at work with my friend Patrick, and he was talking about, or he was interviewing this group called the Freedom Group, which is a Catholic group that works with helping men overcome addictions to pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And as opposed to certain things like accountability software, where it's like, I have this person who can see my screenshots, or as opposed to something like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, every time I go to a hotel room, I'm gonna like take the TV remote, like, and they were literally talking about this, take the TV remote and lock it in my car so that way I can't watch the TV and end up on the porn stuff on the TV. And like that stuff can work, but that doesn't actually fix the problem, which is that like
you're removing the problem, but you're not creating a solution.
Well, it's not even just that. It's that you're not actually becoming virtuous. Mm-hmm. You're not actually growing in your character. All you're doing is like fleeing from temptation.
It's like you have a garden bed that's full of weeds. You've pulled out all the weeds. You've done nothing to actually prepare the garden for growth.
Right. You've done nothing to cultivate
the
soil. And so what ends up happening is like men are trapped forever. Are you like? And this was something I said. Are you going to live forever with having to do these certain things?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds absolutely draining and awful.
Yeah.
Whereas instead, it's like, okay, let's rewire, like, why do you seek comfort in these moments? What about these moments makes you act in this way? Okay, so now let's figure out, like, what actually will give you the comfort that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. That's also going to push you towards greatness.
Yeah.
Right? What's going to relieve the tension in your body.
Yeah. Because I think, there's the quote from, I think it's Pope Benedict, you're not made for comfort, you are made for greatness.
Right.
And I think that we as a society, not just men in this instance, but as a society, we have lost that yearning to be great.
Right. And I think that's where like stuff like the Greatest Generation, right? Mm-hmm. This idea of like the Greatest Generation being like those who fought in World War II. Is that it?
It's World War I or World War II, yeah.
Well, because you've got the baby boomers who are born post World War II.
I think Greatest Generation was. I think it captures World War I and II, kind of that span. But anyway,
yeah.
When we talk about like, and you and I've talked about this extensively about how there's there seems to be like this lack of those great.
The greatest generation is the World War II generation. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, like this idea of great men that we can talk about. And I'm not saying there's not great men in the world today, but I don't think they're being celebrated in the way that we used to. Because obviously there are great people. Like the world's not full of just crappy average people.
You're like, I think of like some of your family members. Not to say that my family is bereft of them, but like, I love your family, and like I think about like your grandfather, Papa, or your dad, or even like
Matthew.
Matthew is a great man.
Steven's a guy.
We love Steven.
I love Steven, but I have to give him a hard time. But yeah, in my family, I'm very blessed to have great men to aspire to be like. But like as a world, we don't celebrate on the Unsubscribed podcast. They've had several Medal of Honor recipients, like recent ones, like people like in the last 30 years have received the Medal of Honor. And these are guys, and they've talked about like why isn't the military putting these guys out in front? And like obviously we don't need a parade for war bonds anymore, but like why aren't they the face of the army?
Yeah, that's such an interesting. Okay, that brings an interesting thought, right? The concept of like, did you ever see the movie Fury?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember when
War Daddy?
War Daddy, yeah. Do you remember when Fat Electrician talked about War Daddy and how they were going to send them back to go and do war bond tours? And it's like this idea of like,
and that's not just like every major person, and to kind of like encapsulate the idea. Anytime someone was doing great during World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, whatever.
Vietnam less so. Vietnam, we kind of started moving.
Yeah, look, yeah, that's kind of where it changed. But like when someone, Richard Bong was the ace of aces in World War II, and he had ended up with 40 confirmed kills, more than anyone ever. Like the previous record was 25.
Yep,
he had 40. They kept like after he got his 26 killed, they pulled off. You are like everyone in America knew who Richard Bong was. They knew him. This was the ace of aces. We can't have anything happening to you. Like they protected the crap out of him at that point. And he hated being paraded around. And you think about that.
But the idea of hero culture,
exactly.
Right? Like who are the heroes of our day? And I look at like who. Okay, you think about it from this perspective. Who do young men aspire to be like? As a high school teacher, and as you as a substitute high school teacher, if you were to ask the young men in your class, who do they aspire to be like? Who would they answer, do you think?
I don't want to know the answer to that.
I can tell you who.
Andrew Tate.
Some of them did want to aspire to be Andrew Tate.
That was one of the ones that I heard a lot.
Others were like, oh, I want to be like this YouTuber. Like some of them were like, I want to be like Jake Paul.
And I was like, I just saw a post about this actually, where it was like asking like people of the past 3 years, like high school graduates, what do you want to be when you get out of high school? The number of people who are looking to be, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a streamer. That was 30 between those three professions. That was 33%.
And that's and
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but then you start to think of like, are these people aspiring to greatness?
The thing is when they were asked why, they said, well, I get to just hang out and play video games and just be chill.
It's not an aspiration for greatness.
It's an aspiration for easy money.
Yeah, and when
life of comfort.
And when we've talked about doing this podcast, right? We've always kind of joked we would love to make money off of this, right? I think both you and I would enjoy not having to work for the rest of our lives and making money off of talking to a camera.
Yeah, would I love that? Absolutely.
But also, I think like if we're gonna do it, we want to do it well, and like yes, low budget podcast, we're doing the best we can. But this idea of like doing it great, right? Like I know YouTubers that like make a video a day.
There, Tectone, he was on Unsubscribed twice recently. 5 videos a day.
Yeah. Like
he is grinding his butt off to be one of the biggest streamers on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, all these places, because the work required is great, and he wants to be great at what he does.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's like so important for us to think about like who do I want to be, and aspiring towards greatness, especially for young men. Right, this idea of like I want to be great, I want to be excellent.
Mm-hmm. I want to be more than just another guy.
And like, I didn't quite talk about this because I want to write a series of blog posts on this.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of like being virtuous, right? Virtue being this idea of like achieving some sort of excellence in a category. There's a virtue of excellence. It's called magnanimity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this idea of like, I want to be magnanimous. I want to be excellent.
Well, real quick, why don't you describe the difference between a virtue and a value? I know you talked about your blog post, but let's for the podcast.
And for you.
I read your blog post.
So the idea of a virtue is it's like an action-driven approach to like how I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
At least this is how I'm framing it.
A virtue is supposed to change you.
Yeah, well, so let's say this. I value not cheating on my wife.
Mm-hmm. You don't have a wife, but I value that as well.
No, but like, okay, great. How does that value drive you to live?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a virtue, I have the virtue of being a faithful husband. That permeates the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. It informs the decisions that you make.
Even outside of how it relates to my wife. I value patience, okay, versus like I am actively working to possess the virtue of patience. To be patient, not just in certain aspects, but in all aspects of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to have an action-driven approach rather than like an ideal-driven approach.
Yeah.
What does a virtuous person look like? Okay, how do I start doing the virtuous thing, right?
Yeah.
It's that step of like, I want to be a patient person. Who are patient people I know in my life?
How can I emulate them? Not
just how can I emulate them? Okay, what's a concrete thing that a patient person does, and I'm going to start doing those things.
We just listened to, me and I were listening to Father Mike Schmidt's like daily homilies.
Yeah, he just wrote a new book on this too.
But one of the things he talked about was, I don't know if I can't remember if he was referencing the book or what, but he said, we have this goal like, oh yeah, I want to be patient. Well, it's like the most effective way for people to grow in these virtues and these like goals is, well, what does a patient person do?
Yep.
Okay, how can I do that?
Yep.
A patient person is someone who does this, or I want to be really good at my job. Okay, what's someone who's really good at my job do? Well, they're on time.
Yep. They
value other people's time. So I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be a person who's on time for things.
Yep. I even saw a TikTok about this. It was, I don't know if you've seen this guy, but he's the guy that does like the septic tank stuff, and he hires.
Yeah.
And he talked about this with a worker he had. Mm-hmm. A worker was making less money than other workers, and he said, well, "I want to make as much money the next day." And he goes, "Okay, great. This is what those guys do to make this amount of money."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I just want you to pay me." And he's like, "Well, then I'm not going to pay you." Right? Like it's counterintuitive to say I should deserve the thing that requires hard work for no work at all,
or for less work than required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to dig into this idea of like excellence and magnanimity, right? We want to be excellent, right? We strive for excellence, right? Because you ask somebody, okay, you want to be a streamer. Why do you want to be a streamer? Because I want to. Okay, do you want to make money? Yeah, I want to make as much money as possible. That's it might be misguided, but that's a desire for excellence. It's a desire for something great.
I want to be the greatest Fortnite streamer.
Yeah.
Like whatever that looks like. How are you going to do that? What is the goal with that? Well, I don't know. And I think kind of to tying back to that point we were making at the beginning, when you ask people today who's your inspiration, their options are modern. The modern options are pretty thin across the board. From this is just my experience.
But you ask people, and sometimes it's like rappers who are not necessarily great moral individuals, sports stars. Right? Like the bar is set incredibly low for who we aspire to be. Right? This concept of hero culture. Who are the heroes in our culture?
Yeah, and I think when the common theme when most of they're good at one thing.
They're good at one thing, and that thing is But even you think about like why do people love the underdog?
Because there's more to them than just.
Well, they underwent struggle, and through the struggle came out on the other side, and became a hero. I watched a video about an athlete that you and I both know a little bit about, running back for the Detroit Lions. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'm going to be a running back?
A running back.
Gibbs? Montgomery?
It's Gibbs.
Okay.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Let's say I know they made a series with Ross St. Brown, but I didn't know about
Jahmyr Gibbs played for Alabama.
Yep, I knew that.
Then did you know he was homeless for 2 years of high school?
I did not know that.
Got adopted by a family, white family that took care of him in Georgia after he became homeless. Helped him to get the scholarship at Alabama. Went through that struggle, and he was like so grateful for every part of it. He's like, I'm never going to do anything to screw this up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be excellent at my craft, so I don't lose the opportunity that has been afforded to me.
Excellent at my craft and excellent at life in general. Like he's like, we read about sports stars who get into like they have DUIs, they have bad relationships with people. But he's very clean.
Yeah. But this whole idea of like, who are your heroes in culture? I mean, you and I kind of were talking about this beforehand, and I'm going to dip out once we start talking about heroes because I got to use the bathroom. But you were talking about a hero in particular that like inspired you. Tell me about John Basilone. So while you're doing that,
okay,
I'm going to go use the bathroom. So tell the people about John Basilone. Tell them why he inspires you, a little bit about his story, and I'll be back.
All right, I'm going to put my fat electrician hat on. Today we're going to be talking about John Basilone. Please don't sue me, Nick. I really like your content. So John Basilone, he is considered like the greatest machine gunner of all time. John Basilone, to really do a disservice to his story, he was at one point in his life, he's 16, 17, 18. He spent some time in the Army. He was asking his pastor what he was. Let me backtrack slightly. 16, 17-year-old. He was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life. And he, at one point, asked his pastor, what am I supposed to do? How did you know when you were supposed to become a priest? And the pastor said, well, I thought I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I prayed about it, and God gave me this very clear vision of I'm supposed to be a priest. So I followed that vision and led me to where I am. So he told John to kind of do the same thing. And when John prayed about it, he had this vision that he was supposed to be a warrior. So what that looked like for him was he joined the Army, and he was very kind of mid about it, but he wasn't fulfilling that warrior vision that he had. It was, again, that vision of greatness wasn't there for him. So he went back to this dead-end job, and his parents were like, when are you going to be the man that you're supposed to be? So he prayed about it more. He's like, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So John, to kind of sum up his story, John ended up receiving both the Medal of Honor and the Navy Cross. The Navy Cross posthumously. His Medal of Honor was for him and two other guys held off hundreds of Japanese soldiers by themselves with 2 machine guns. In the face of overwhelming odds, his options were to just sit down and die or push forward. And he chose to push forward, and it worked for him. He got aggressive enough quickly enough. But eventually he had a vision that he still hadn't fulfilled this goal of his, this dream of his of being a warrior, despite the fact he'd just earned the Medal of Honor. Mm-hmm. And he had this vision that he was going to die fighting the Japanese. So he had this mentor, Chesty Puller, who's this incredibly decorated Marine, who led from the front and said basically his job was to kick John into gear. So he was in the Marines at this point. And John at Iwo Jima, John basically he got on the shores and he's like, why is nothing happening? And then he started literally kicking Marines in the butt. We need to move. And his actions saved hundreds of Marines that day because the Japanese started bombarding that embankment that they kind of brushed up on. But rather than shying away from this, he had this dream of, I'm going to be a warrior. But once they got real tough, John didn't shy away from it. He ran to the danger. He ran to help the people around him. And even when his vision said he was going to die as a warrior, he said, if that's what it means for me, that's what I need to do. And that to me is like, oh. Yeah. I highly recommend watching the Fat Electrician video on it.
We'll put the link in the comments or something.
But, because again, I'm doing a huge disservice to the story. But at the end of the day, this is a man who lacked direction in his life, prayed about it, and saw what his vision was that I'm going to do that. And he took, like, what's that going to mean for me? Well, it means I need to join the Army. Join the Army. Wasn't good, like, it wasn't enough for him. I'm going to join the Marines. The Army is too soft for me. He kept pushing forward, trying to become the best version of himself, aspiring to men around him who were better than him, and said, I want to be like them, and and they said, no, I want to be better than me.
Yeah, there's something in that story, because I've watched the same video, but there's something in that story about just like, I know what I'm called to do and I'm going to do it. And like for men, we need to hear that, like that aspect of like, okay, I'm going to pray about it, then I'm going to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what the Lord tells me.
And the last thing for his little bit, he ended up getting a tattoo when he was really drunk. But the tattoo was death before dishonor. Nice. And I think that while an extreme measure of that, is something that we lack. Like there's a lack of conviction in a lot of our choices that we make. Like once things get a little hard, we just like we retreat to comfort. Mm-hmm. Rather than he's like, I would rather die than dishonor the men around me. Mm-hmm. Dishonor the name that I put out for myself. Because there's again a ton about this man, but that conviction that he had of regardless of what the consequences are, he was striving to be the best version of himself.
Yeah, I think of like men who really inspire me, and kind of sticking in that theme of the greatest generation, because John Basilone, World War II, right?
Yep.
Is another guy. He's actually born pre-greatest generation, so in that lost generation.
Yep.
But it's James J. Braddock. If you don't know the story, the Cinderella
Man.
Dude,
Cinderella Man.
It's one of my favorite movies from the first time I watched it.
It's a really good sports movie.
I watched it with Zach Merck, and it's just one of the greatest movies I could ever think of. And there's, so James J. Braddock, he is somebody who's a boxer, and in the late 20s, he's at like the height of his career.
Yep, he's challenging the world title.
Challenging for world titles, things like that. But what happens is in a fight, he ends up breaking his hand. And for a fighter, that's the end of your career, right? Mm-hmm. And then the Great Depression happens. And all the money he had was invested in the stock market and in the banks. And so suddenly, Great Depression happens, the bubble bursts, he loses everything. He goes from living in a house that he owns to now living in the basement of a house with his 3 children and his wife. And he tries to be a dockhand, but he never really got his hand fixed.
He had it wrapped in a cast. He was trying to hide it as much as he could, but he was basically one-armed for a long time. And
so eventually, he does kind of get his chance again to go back up. He starts fighting southpaw.
Well, he was supposed to fight. It was supposed to be like a retirement fight for him. Like some guy bowed out. He needed to be in, and they're like, this will be a retirement fight. He gets to fight a former heavyweight contender. You get to go out with a bang.
Yep.
And he
won.
He dropped the guy.
He won, right? But throughout the story, at least in the movie, mm-hmm. I have the biography. I want to read the biography one day.
I've heard it's pretty faithful. Obviously, the movie takes some liberties, but overall, it's pretty faithful.
It features Russell Crowe, which great actor.
Yeah.
But there's just this sense of like he's like, I'm gonna do this for my family, because like at one point his kids get taken away
because he can't
pay the light bill.
He can't keep them warm.
Right. He's sending his kids over to his sister's house, I think, or his wife's sister's house, or somebody.
Yeah.
But he's sitting there. He's broken up by the fact that he can't have his kids. So he's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get my kids back.
Yeah.
Turns on the electricity, and then there's this beautiful scene where the kids are running around the house, turning on the lights. It's just like, but he's like, I'm going to do this for my kids. And eventually he gets the opportunity again to fight for, is it the world championship?
Yeah, heavyweight world championship.
Against a guy who's already killed 2 people in the ring.
Yeah. That's part of the movie is exaggerated. Like they try to make Max like this, like douche basically.
And he's not.
He actually was like really broken up when he killed the guy. He didn't mean to.
He's really like, he was really a great guy. But he was like, I'm going to fight him because I have to see this through, even if it costs me everything.
Yeah.
And like, I think for men, we have to hear like, I'm going to see through the hard thing, even if it ends up costing me everything, like you were saying about John Basilone. And I think there's a third guy.
Yeah, this is not just us going. I promise the video is not just us like listing great men, but like there's a third one I think that is worth mentioning.
And he's a personal hero of mine, and like I wish that I could sit down with a cup of coffee with this guy.
I'm pretty sure he's my dad's favorite saint. I'm like 90% sure if my dad said explicitly this is his favorite saint.
But like John Paul II was just
extraordinary.
Chef's kiss. I mean, you and I have both seen like the 8-hour biography.
I love the way Brian Kissinger set it up. It's like, we're going to watch the biography of John Paul II, which is only moderately shorter than his actual life, and he lived a very, very long life.
Yeah, he lived like 89, 95.
I don't know.
Lived a very long life.
Yes.
But lived through the loss of his mother at a young age, the loss of all of his siblings except one, the loss of his dad, World War II, joining a secret underground seminary while as a seminarian in Poland, watched all of his friends get arrested, and the only reason why he didn't get arrested is he was 2 minutes late. Ends up seeing some of his best friends get imprisoned, his professors at university during the Soviet occupations.
The rise and fall of fascism and communism.
And his faith never once wavered. Maybe that's an exaggeration.
Every man's faith is tested, but
I think for him, he was like, I know who I am, and I know whose I am.
And I think at the end of the day, that's the most important factor. Being sure of oneself and one's place in the world, both before God and before man, and where you find, and not being afraid to question the world, but never questioning where you belong.
Well, I think you have to question the world and where it's wrong.
Yes, but not questioning where you yourself belong.
And I think that's something for us to aspire. Like when you look at like the life of John Basilone, James Braddock, John Paul II, and you sit there and you go,
I just realized we picked all J names.
Yeah, always.
JJ.
JJJ.
JJ Anders.
JJ Anders. Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
But when you look at these men, there's a common theme of greatness about them, and they were celebrated, each one of them, for one reason or another. John Paul II is like, to some people, he's like my dad. He's one of the best saints of all time. Like he's one of the greatest popes that we ever had. Not just like he was beloved not just by Catholics, but like the world in general loved this man. James Braddock, he was a heavyweight champion of the world. John Basilone, known as the greatest machine gunner of all time. The handle at the front of the machine gun now is called the Basilone. It's like named after him now.
But all three of these men saw that they were made for something great, right?
Mm.
John Paul II, when he was elected to the papacy, I'm sure there was a lot of emotions that he felt. But he was like, all right, this is the task set before me. And I will see it through until the end. Right? I mean, to the point where it's like, he was like, yeah, he got shot. He was almost assassinated. Right? He's like, I think most people, they hear that they were almost assassinated, and they're thinking...
Turtle up, curl, defense.
Or they're thinking, screw this guy, F this guy, right, whatever. John Paul II goes to visit him in prison, like, at least I think once a week. Because he was so committed to his ideals, and knowing who he was and he was like, all right, this is going to dictate how I act. And like, knowing you were made for greatness, right? Knowing, like, I'm meant to die in battle. Knowing I'm meant to provide for my kids. Knowing I'm meant to be a leader of the Christian world. Dictates how you act. And you aspire for greatness in that.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, we could talk for hours about what's wrong with the world. But, like, I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is we as a society have lost this identity of, I don't want to just go, we now just go through life. We no longer want to thrive in life. We no longer want to succeed to the best of our abilities. It just becomes
I just want to get by. I want to, yeah.
C's get degrees. No. Why are we not aspiring to be the best versions of ourselves?
Yeah.
And it is a cultural thing.
And it's also like calling us both out.
Yeah. As someone who has said it, C's get degrees several times.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's like a good stopping place to kind of end it. I feel much better about this recording than the first one.
Yeah. And I think kind of our challenge for everyone, like,
we're still doing those.
We do them occasionally. I think this lends itself very well to, like, find someone that you, whether you know personally, someone in history, find their story that you can aspire to, who aspired for greatness and succeeded. And how can you emulate to be like them?
It's interesting. So in what I have planned for our students, right, helping them to write a plan on how to grow in a particular virtue. One of the things that I suggested to them is like, find someone who exemplifies that virtue, whether it's patience, loyalty, respect for others, whatever it is, obedience. It can be a person who's living or who's dead, right? If it's a person who's dead, read their biography. Right? If you want to aspire to greatness, if you want to aspire to a particular virtue, learn about the lives of those who have come before you. Like in the Catholic Church, we talk about like, oh, you want to be holy, like go and read the lives of the saints.
Yeah.
But that's not the only people that exist who have lived lives of excellence. I mentioned this in the car as we're driving back from the gym, but like Benedictine monks in Clear Creek Abbey, which is in Oklahoma, they have dinners. Nobody's talking except for one individual who's supposed to chant from a book. It's a different book. Pretty much they go through the book, and once they're done with the book, they pick a new book. At one particular time, I went to go have a meal with them because I was on retreat. And while they were there, they were chanting a biography of Abraham Lincoln. Because for them, they said, Abraham Lincoln offers us a source by which we can be inspired to grow in virtue. And that should be the same with how we view things. Is like, okay, these great men, how can they be a source for me to grow in virtue, to grow in greatness? So yeah.
Speaking of growing in greatness,
how are you been going deeper? Jinx. Well, lately, I've actually picked up the practice of praying morning, evening, and night prayer from the Liturgy of the Hours. And it's been great. You get to read the Psalms. You get to hear how David is a dumb individual. And I'm like, David, I
relate to this fool.
I relate to this fool. And then you also get to hear about David rejoicing with the Lord. And you're like, I don't relate to this fool. But yeah, no, playing the Liturgy Hours is great to read the Book of the Psalms. I would like at some point to get to like praying all 5 hours. But we're just not there yet.
But it's a process.
Yeah, how about you?
For me, you've heard me talk about going to the gym, but I've joined a fitness challenge. There's a community of people who are doing it online. Everyone's got different goals for it. Some people are trying to lose weight, some people are trying to gain weight. But the overall goal is for us to all collectively be more fit after 60 days.
I've also joined the fitness challenge, but bully Andrew into eating his foods.
I'm working on it.
Please.
I'm working on it. But yeah, I'm at 170 pounds, so my goal is at the end of the 2 months to hit 185. That's
a very ambitious goal.
It is ambitious, but I if I get it,
your foods.
If I get there, awesome. But if I don't quite meet it, it's the goal that I have.
The road to 185.
Yeah, that's kind of so. First weekend, I haven't lost any weight, which is a pretty good bar for me because typically I'm fluctuating up and down by 5 pounds, but I've stayed right about 170 all week, which has been good for me. But yeah, just being very intentional with my meals, very intentional about taking my supplements, going to the gym. I've been going to the gym 5 days a week, and on the off days, I'm doing stretching, yoga, and stuff like that. So it's been great. That's kind of my goals.
Well, this was enjoyable.
I agree. I think I like the mood lighting. I hope we can get a ring light soon. If you want to donate one to us, let us know.
I have a ring light.
But with that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share all those things. Comment someone that inspires you, or the person you know, or history.
In the comments, Todd, I'm looking at you.
Todd and Mitch. Mitch has also commented before.
Mitch is listening again.
He's listened before and he's read our blogs, so hopefully we'll get him to comment on some stuff here. But we're calling people out. Oh, I didn't mention my mom. Mom, if you made it this far in the episode, you also inspire me, just in a different way, because I'm inspired to be like a great man, and you're a great woman.
Hi, Mom.
All right, and with that,
We're out.
Peace, blessings to all of you.